Today I'm chatting with Tia Singh, who's gone from a corporate existence to doing what she loves. And in this interview, you'll discover how she did it, the fears she ran into, and all the other good stuff. So, as always, I want to keep this introduction short because I want to dive right into the interview. So, here we go. So, today I'm here with Tia Sparkles, also known as Tia Singh. So, how are you doing, Tia?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Just a bit tired. Been writing all day, like I mentioned before we started recording. But other than that, I'm still alive.
That's always a good thing. Otherwise, this interview would be coming in from beyond another world.
Yeah, it would become a bit too one-sided.
Seriously, then I could get a career as a medium. I'd say I talk to dead people.
Yeah,
No.
mostly Henry.
Oh, you never
So,
know.
so could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got, or just start with your background and then we'll slowly go to the businessy side of things.
All right, cool. So, I was born and brought up in India. My dad was in the Air Force, and we traveled every couple of years. So I'm kind of used to moving around every couple of years, and that's kind of showed up in my adult life as well. I went to school. I got my bachelor's in economics. I got a post graduation in management. So I worked in the corporate world for about 4 or 5 years. Everything from advertising to financial services to the dot com to technical recruiting, career counseling. So I've done a whole bunch of different things. I've never lasted in a job more than 9 months. I always quit because I either got bored or I felt like I wasn't aligned with the company or the values or just the industry in general. And then I started traveling around in 2000. I left India and I went to the US on a 2 week holiday to attend a friend's wedding. I ended up being offered a job and I stayed there for 2 years. My mom called and said, "What the hell? Like, you have a job here in India. You can't just stay there in the US." And it was like, it wasn't an easy decision, but I think in my gut, I just knew that this was meant to happen. This is what I was going to do. So I ended up staying there for 2 years. And this was in, yeah, like 2000 to 2002. And then 9/11 happened and my company went out of business and everything crashed in the IT industry. So then I ended up going back to India for a year. And in the meantime, a friend of mine in the US suggested we move to Queenstown, New Zealand. I'd never been there, but she'd won a free trip there. She won a free trip for 2 weeks and she came back and she said, "It's the most beautiful place. We have to go. And I don't want to go alone. So move with me." And so I said, "You know what? I'm sick of the US. I'm happy to go back to India for a year. And yeah, let's go to New Zealand after that." So I totally manifested that. It was like the most ridiculous way that it even happened. But I ended up moving to New Zealand. And I lived there for 4 years. My friend left after 6 months. And after that stint was over, I moved to Canada in 2008 because I had permanent residency there. And if I didn't move by 2008, I was going to lose it. So yeah, so that's all my background, my story of moving around and traveling. And born in India, brought up in India, traveled to a few different countries, and now I live in Canada.
So when did you actually go from working regular jobs to realizing that you could make a living online with or running your own business?
When I first did my post graduation, like when I did my MBA, I said to myself that I was only going to be in corporate for 5 years. So I lasted four. And I always knew that I was going to do something else. I was always interested in energy and healing and personal development. I was always reading those books. So the first step to that was, I think, just completely changing my career. I became a massage therapist in New Zealand, and that gave me a lot of flexibility with my work. So I could work whenever I wanted to. I'd work, say, 6 months a year and then take 4 or 5 months off and go traveling, work another few months. And so it was very flexible like that. And the longest that I've ever stayed in any profession is 4 years, and that was massage therapy. And And this is why it's because I could make my own hours. I could choose what spas I wanted to work at. I could do my own things. I kind of started working for myself back then. And when I came to Canada in 2008, I found coaching. I had no idea what coaching was, but I used to read this lady's blog, and I thought it was really, really cool. So then I wanted what she had. I wanted to have the kind of impact that she was making on the world. I wanted to have that kind of confidence and awareness that she had. And I was like, how do you do this? And she said, oh, I trained as a coach. So I decided I was going to start doing that. And I had a lot of savings when I first came from New Zealand. So I didn't have to go out and get a job right away, but I did. I worked as a career counselor, helping new immigrants settle into Canada, which was funny because I was a new immigrant. I'd only been in Canada for 2 months, and here I was helping other immigrants. It was cool. Um, but that job lasted 2 months because I just got tired of waking up every morning and going to work at 6 a.m. I was like, this is bullshit. I don't want to wake up so early. So I kind of manifested myself out of that job and found coaching a few months later and started my website. Actually, one of the earlier websites. This is my third website. And started blogging, started coaching, doing coaching training courses. And that's pretty much how it started. I knew then, I just knew like I never want to work for anybody again. I've never wanted to anyway, but this just solidified it.
So what kind of coaching did you do in those early days?
Oh, good Lord. I was really into the law of attraction. So I used to do a whole bunch of law of attraction coaching and a CTI, Coaches Training Institute, where I did my coach training. They have a very particular model. So that's the model that I used for coaching as well. And then, like as it kind of went along and as I got more experience and started coaching more and meeting different people, it kind of evolved. It evolved into whatever the particular person needed. So then I started doing, and I really got into social media in a big way. So I did some social media coaching. I did just basic business coaching. I did some mentoring, the whole mix of different things.
So it sounds like most people in the beginning where you basically do everything and see what happens.
Totally. You know what? Like, I think I'm still doing that. I'm still experimenting and playing with things, and something works and something doesn't, and something feels good for a while, and then you change, and the people that, what people need from you change as well. And so I think business is constantly evolving.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like life. It's much easier when you just go with the flow and follow your heart and just do what feels good and obviously put food on the table, but mostly do what feels good. And if you can put food on the table at the same time, then even better.
Dude, I'll say it's not easy. It's simple, but not easy. But I get your point. I get what you're saying there. It takes so much freaking courage and just hanging in there, because you have so many ups and downs that I think like being in business and having a baby are probably two of the biggest personal development experiences anyone can ever go through.
Yeah, I know because I have both.
Oh, I don't have any kids, but I'm just imagining.
Yeah, I have one at the moment.
Oh, cool.
And I guess more coming, not right this moment, but maybe in the future. But there's definitely, I'd say, having a business, being like in an intimate relationship, and having kids. All of those are like super boosters of some kind.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. Intimate relationship, of course. Huge personal growth.
Yeah. So in those early days, how did you get coaching clients?
Do you know, initially it was through my first ever client came through Twitter. It was the coolest thing. I was just hanging out there, having fun, like you said, and being myself. And I had a lady message me saying that she was really interested in coaching for herself and she wanted to do coach training as well. So I just gave her some information about coach training. And then she said, actually, I want you to be my coach. I want you to coach me. And I worked with her for about 6 months, and she's still one of my favorite clients and friends to this date. We've never met, but we're friends on Facebook. So that's how I got my first ever client. And then other clients I got through, I used to assist a lot of coaching courses. And that was one of the places that, again, never selling myself, never talking about what I do, but just being there and being present and showing up. So I had some clients connect with me through that. In fact, one of the course leaders at one of the courses that I was assisting became a client of mine as well. That was really cool. So that was the initial days, yeah, all through social media and through assisting coaching courses.
So what happened then in your business?
Okay, so what happened was like the first couple of years I coached, and I always felt like there was something bigger, like I wanted a bigger platform. In fact, my first ever coach said to me, maybe your thing isn't really one-on-one coaching. Have you thought about that? And I was all, no way, don't even say that to me because this is it. I've decided this is my career. This is what I'm doing moving forward. And then 2 years into it, I realized she was right. Like I loved one-on-one coaching, and I also needed something that was much bigger. Like I wanted to impact a lot more people and have a bigger platform. So it evolved from there, and I started offering e-courses with some of those e-courses were basically do-it-yourself courses, and others had a group component to them where people could just come in and talk about what was going on as they worked through the course together. And initially, I would do that on Facebook, have Facebook groups, and then I switched over to a forum on my own website, and also just writing quality articles and blog posts. And about a year and a half ago, I moved away from writing solely myself to having a whole host of people writing for my site, which was really good because I was kind of feeling a bit stuck when it came to writing and focusing on all these other things. And so I had a variety of really, really amazing voices and writers talking about a whole bunch of different topics on my website.
So is this what you're doing right now? Like you're doing courses and products mostly?
Yes, not a lot at the moment because I kind of went through a shitty phase back in November and December, and I'm just sort of getting back into it in the last couple of months. But this is what I'm doing moving forward. This is what I'm working on behind the scenes. I still have courses, I still have advertising on my website. So that's what's kind of bringing in the income right now.
Okay, so basically the website is that your sole income right now?
Yes, it is.
And you mentioned advertising as well as courses and other goodies.
Yeah. So my website actually has been getting a whole bunch of traffic. In the last year, I had about 4 million visitors almost, I think, and double the amount of page views. This year it's been a bit less because I haven't posted a lot, but it's solidly up there and it gets very consistent traffic. So I think that's a model that I actually avoided for a very, very long time. I was completely against advertising. It's like there's no way I want to advertise on my site. It's so sleazy, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, before I knock anything down, I should always give it a chance, give it a try and see how it works. And so I started off with just small business advertising. And I had about like I think 20, 25 ads at a time last year. This year I've kind of cut it down. Well, I'm trying to figure out the best way to move the website forward, but it was really fun. It was a fun experiment.
So are these ads things you have in your sidebar or is it something different?
Yeah, it's on the sidebar. They're all on the sidebar.
Okay, and you mentioned 25 ads, advertisers. Does that mean you rotate them?
That was last year, and no, they used to pretty much be in the same position. There'd be like one ad on top, which would be a bit extra because that would be right on top, and then the others would come out at the bottom, or maybe that was a bigger size. I had different sizes as well, and I did try to rotate them, but it just felt like a whole bunch of work to me. Maybe there's some way to automate it, but I was doing it manually, and it's like I can't keep doing this. So then I stopped. Right now, I only have a couple of advertisers. I'm not taking any. I'm just letting these run out at the moment. And then I'm going to restructure and revamp that whole thing.
So what kind of courses and products do you have right now?
Right now, I just have one, which is called the Inner Sparkle e-course. And that's a 21-day, 21 email e-course that people can do on their own time. And it basically has 21 different tips and actionable challenges that I send out. And it's all about bringing your inner sparkle back out. If you're feeling like you need to recharge your batteries, or if you are just not feeling very happy, or you need a new perspective on life and, need some encouragement and inspiration, that's pretty much what this course is for.
And then you have, I think you mentioned a community as well.
Sparkle Cycler, I'm not actually doing it at the moment. It was supposed to be launched as an online community this year in January, but I had a lot of personal stuff going on, so that's been pushed back a little bit. Last year, I did a pre-launch in October, and I ran a course on passion and purpose, like finding your passion and purpose, because I get so many emails from people saying, help me, I don't know what my passion is, or I have so many things I'm interested in. How do I pick one? And so it was a really interesting concept because I created this course as we went along. I would just literally go in the forum every day. I had about 75 people in the course that would show up, and just check in with them, see how the day was going, have a prompt, any questions that would come up. Then I would literally post the next prompt in response to that. So it was co-created and it was really interesting. It was fun.
You basically have advertising the 21-day course and the community coming sometime.
Yeah, community coming sometime. Yeah, and it's going to be really simple. The community really, because there are so many online communities, and I didn't want this to be another, have telecalls every month and webinars, and it just feels like a whole bunch of stuff. And you never know, I might change my mind about this down the road. But I just wanted a simple place where people can come, like-minded people, multi-passionate people, and those who are also really interested in self-development, so they can be with others who understand them. We can openly talk about what's going on and have a lot of play and fun, because I find that people don't really play a lot and they're not having enough fun in life. And I'm a very playful person. So this is a space where you can come and learn and grow together. Like talk about or have little actionable challenges to do with in different areas of life, like health or relationships or finances every month, and just play with that, not be so serious about life.
Yeah, I agree. I do the same kind of thing, but I blend online business and personal development, and I've noticed that especially in the online business, lifestyle business crowd, there's a lot of seriousness, and you forget to play, and when things get serious, that's when momentum stops.
Yeah. I just want conversations. So yeah, this is what Sparkle Flight Club, that's my vision for it. Just conversations and inspiration and ideas and fun and movement, and no rigid structures. There'll be an overall structure and accountability, but at the same time, I want it to be more free flowing than most other things that I'm seeing.
So you also mentioned that you get a lot of traffic. How did you end up at this point? I mean, did you do search engine optimization, or did it happen kind of organically?
Yeah, no, I've never done SEO. I just got really lucky. And you know what luck is, right? Preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So what I did was I would just keep posting, blogging, showing up, and following my inspiration. So this is where that thing you talked about, doing what feels good. This is where this really, really came in handy, because I'm a strong follower and believer in doing what feels good, to the detriment of business sometimes. Like if something doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good, I won't do it, even if I'm leaving money on the table, because I know in the long run, what matters is my energy, and whatever energy I put out is the energy I'm going to get back in. And so I, I only do things that feel good energetically. So what I did was, I remember it was in September 2011. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I was just sitting around going, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And I suddenly felt like writing a blog post about inspirational quotes. And so I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. The next thing I knew, it was 5 a.m. And I had written this post on just pretty much the most kick-ass, awesome quotes on change and life and growth and blah, blah, blah. So it was about 75 quotes, and I found pictures to go with it, and I posted it. And that was it. That's not the kind of post I've ever written on my site before, or even ever thought of writing. But it was just just a sheer moment of inspiration, which I followed. And I think a month or two later, it got stumbled, brought a lot of traffic to my website. And I still had no idea what was happening with it till about 6 months later, when somebody says, I don't know, maybe I Googled inspirational quotes, and my website was up there on page one in the number 3 position. And I just fell off my chair. I was like, what? How did that happen? It's kind of gone, it's not there anymore. It's gone off to I don't know how many different pages. But I think there must have been a Google update at that point of time, panda, penguin, whatever, one of these cute little animals. And it just pushed my website right up to the top. And so I ended up getting, I think in 1 month, I had about 900,000 page views and 700,000 visitors. And then it just continued on from there. up and down, usually about half a million page views a month at least. So that's how it ended up having those 4 million visitors last year. And since
Yeah,
then, even though the traffic has gone down, it's still pretty consistent at a few 100,000 visitors a month.
yeah, it's interesting because I did something similar. I don't remember when, but I wrote a post on the 77 greatest quotes and on life and business, and that's one of my most popular posts to date. I mean, it's the same thing as you. It's been shared, and it still gets a lot of traffic. So it's interesting what happens when you follow your inspiration.
I know, but I do have to say though, like the traffic that comes from those kind of posts isn't very sticky traffic. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be saying the word traffic because it sounds like a whole bunch of little ants walking up and down at red lights and saluting. But people that come from that result, like from these Google searches looking for inspirational quotes, they're mostly just looking for inspirational quotes. Some of them stay around and turn into readers and subscribers, but for the most part, they just come, bookmark, and off they go.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. So,
Mm.
but it never hurts to have that exposure because once people stumble on your site once, then the next time they bump into a post of yours, they're more likely to stick because they remember that they've been here before.
Exactly. And not just that, but I will say that people have gotten so much out of that post that I've written. I have like hundreds, I don't know, 600 something comments on it with people just saying how it made a difference in their day, on how it really changed their attitude, and, how mothers. And I also wrote a poem along with that, which has been circulated a lot. And um, I have like high school teachers in the US asking me if they can use that poem on sweatshirts for their girls' basketball team, or mothers that want to send it to their daughters. And I mean, just so it's that one post and the poem that I wrote. Actually, I wrote two posts like that and a poem has impacted so many people. I kind of feel like, God, that's if that's all I ever did in my life, even that would be enough because it really made a difference to a lot of people. And all I did was just follow my inspiration. I just feel so grateful, that I had that inspiration and that I decided to follow it.
Yeah. So have you done anything else when it comes to traffic other than just write posts that resonate with you?
Well, I am pretty active on social media, so I'll share everything on Facebook and Twitter. And for a while, I also joined Triber, which is this community where people will cross post and cross promote each other's posts. Yeah, that helped as well because it then got me access to followers and audiences of 20 other people, which is potentially a couple of million other people. That's pretty much, yeah, that's all I did. No SEO or anything of that sort. Maybe I should do some of that.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah,
So
someday.
have you also built an email list?
Yes, I have. And that email list started growing really, really rapidly around the same time a year and a half ago. I went from about 500, I think, to over 8,000 in just a span of a year.
And what kind of an impact has your email list had on your business?
Well, a lot of my clients, that's where they come from. And some of them are very, very loyal subscribers and readers and take part in my e-courses. And in fact, a few of them have written to me saying, "Hey, you were going to launch Sparkle Flight Club in January. We're waiting. What happened?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Life happened, and I am now setting up systems and structure so that I don't get derailed with my plans again." So, it's a lot more. I think that's what you really need to be successful in business. You need proper systems. You need a strategy, which I have, but the systems were missing. And then you need a really, really good team to support you when life gets in the way.
Yeah, I find it interesting because the email list is one of the most important aspects of an online business, yet it's something most people neglect, especially beginners, and there's not a lot of interest about learning how to use email properly.
In the beginning, when I started, that's how I was like that as well. I used to send out emails once a month, and I had a really, really high open rate and a very, very engaged but small list. And then I started sending them twice a month. And then I stopped sending them for about 6 to 8 months because I just lost interest, lost the passion for it. I didn't know what to write about. And so I quit. So here I was paying all this money in constant contact and not emailing anybody for 8 months. And it was in 2011, I think, when I realized that I had to be consistent, that no matter what happened, business and being successful isn't about one big shot and boom, you're rich and famous and successful. It's about those little things that you do consistently every day, every week. And so I decided I'm committed to being really, really consistent with my email list. And since then, I think since probably the last year and a half, I've only missed one email. I send them weekly now. I only missed one, which was on my birthday, and I was traveling. The rest of the time, I make sure that the email goes out every Tuesday. And that
So,
definitely makes a difference. Consistency is important.
so what kind of emails do you send to your list?
Very simple. I just send a quote and I send a question. I'll write a question sometimes, or I'll give them a little, um, like a little actionable step. I feel like I'm repeating the same words over and over. And I'll be like, okay, for example, I'll send an email saying, um, do or do not, there is no try. Yoda. That's my quote for the week. And then I'll say, what's something that you've been just trying to do instead of simply doing? Get rid of the try and go do it, and then hit reply and tell me. So very simple, easy emails like that, because I found that that was the best way for me to actually stay connected and keep um and be consistent with it. Because when I was writing those really long emails, then I would just have nothing to say after a while. So now if I have something to say, I'll say something extra, but mostly I'm just keeping it very, very simple and easy.
So do you do any selling via email, like when you have new products? How do you announce and launch those?
I'll mention it in the email, and then I will send an extra email or two. I don't do a lot of email selling, which I know I probably should do more, but it doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel that good to me. And so I do it as much as feels good, and then I stop. But yeah, I'll definitely mention it. Oh, I have this coming up, and I'll do surveys, and there's always a link as well to my e-course in my email. It's my e-course in advertising. So there's those links are just always permanently there.
So is it like a PS or like a footer or something?
Kind of, yeah, yeah. Just below, I think it's below my XOXO tier,
So kind of
below
like
where I sign off, or maybe on top.
so kind of like PS, check out my course or whatever you're doing at the time.
I don't know. I don't. It's somewhere at the bottom. It's somewhere close to my signature. I'm not sure if it's above or below. I don't think I
Okay.
do. I don't think I do a PS though. That's such a detailed question. Now I have to go and look. I'm looking. Oh, okay. So I always end up with XOXO tier, and then below that I have these two little bullet points with Inner Sparkle Ecos and sponsoring your business.
Okay. Sounds good.
Dude, you're so detailed. Are you a Virgo?
Yeah.
Are you seriously?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
details are my thing, and being practical, and it doesn't hurt that I'm Scandinavian.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's so hilarious.
So what kind of fears did you run into while building your business?
Holy crap, what kind of fears am I still running into? Um, Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking like a fool, fear of being a fraud, that someday I'm gonna wake up and find that I just made this whole thing up, or people are gonna look at me and saying, hey, what qualifies you to do this or teach this? You're not good enough. So fear of not being good enough. Like I have all these fears, and they honestly never really go away. But the more I say, screw it, I'm going to have these fears, whether I do something or not, I might as well do something about it and take action. Then I find that that was pretty unfounded. It's so stupid. All these fears are all in our head. And you know, they'll just pop out at the most ridiculous moment. Sometimes when I'm launching a course, my fear is, what if nobody signs up? Or what if only 20 people sign up? And what if people sign up but hate it? And, it doesn't matter what action I'm taking, there's a fear that'll pop up around it.
Yeah, and I find I have days when I'll have like these fear or freak out days. Do you have the same thing?
Of course, of course. I have days, I have moments. There are some times that I'll just stop with whatever I'm doing and say, "Oh my God, everything I'm doing is just going to come crashing down. Nothing is ever going to work. And what am I doing? And what if this fails? What will I do? Where will I go?" Irrational fears, they just love to pop up and have a party in my head.
Yeah, they like to come and visit from time to time.
Time to time? No, my
And
friend, they're around quite a bit.
yeah, what I found to work quite well is that when I'm having one of those days is to just keep quiet. So I know that making any big decision or doing any working on any big project is not going to work while I'm in fear mode. So that's when I allow myself to just be, watch movies, take a walk, and
Mm.
basically take a break.
It's very important to do that. Very. Another thing that I do is I talk to my fears. If I'm not like completely panicked out, I'll be like, "Oh, hey, fear, what are you all about?" One thing I know is that when fear shows up, it means that you're doing something that's really important to you and something that really needs to be done. It's an area where you need to grow. And that's actually a good thing. It's a positive thing. So I don't look at fear as, "Oh my God, you suck. Why are you here again?" I look at fear as, "Wow, this means I'm stretching out of my comfort zone. Something big is happening here. Yay, I'm going to grow." Or I'll ask fear, "What are you trying to teach me? What's the message? Are you saying that I need to do more research? Are you saying that, I need to get help? Are you saying this is a completely shitty idea? What is it?" So just kind of looking in and digging deeper because fear really is, it's just like, it's an external emotion, really.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that it's a cover up for something else. And so you find what that is and dig into it, and I think that fear goes away as well. Because then also, one of my favorite quotes is, "If everything is an experiment, nothing is a failure." So if that's the case, then I look at fear and say, "Well, I have nothing to lose. I'm just experimenting here." So then the fear lessens so much, almost goes away, really.
Yeah, and in the last few months, I've really been into thinking about death. So when I have fears, I'm immediately thinking about the fact that one day I'll die, and none of this will matter except the
Yeah.
fact that I followed my heart and basically did what I wanted to do. Because just if I give in to my fears, then I'll just look back in regret the moment I die. And obviously, this doesn't mean that you immediately catapult into something if you're afraid, but instead you keep quiet. And then when you're feeling better, then you listen to your inspiration and see where it leads you.
That's such a good point. We were all stardust. We all go back to being stardust. And sometimes when I'm letting fear get the better of me, I'll look at other inspirational people, or I'll hear somebody's story of how somebody lost somebody, or, lost someone to cancer or had an accident. And I'll think, "Holy crap, life is so short. What am I doing wasting my time being scared? What's the worst that can happen?" Seriously, ask the question, what's the worst that can happen? "Oh, well, this product's gonna bomb. No one's gonna buy it. I'll make no money." Okay, that's it. That's the worst that can happen. Well, then, I think I can take a chance. I'm not gonna injure myself or have a heart attack or die or anything of that sort, right? If nobody buys my stuff, that's okay. So it's all about perspective, right? That's so important what you said there.
Yeah, yeah, you won't injure yourself unless you really freak out.
I know.
And something we often forget is that sometimes failure or something quote unquote bad happening is exactly what needs to happen in order for you to grow in the future and succeed in the way that's best for you.
I would even take it further and say that any good thing that's happened in your life right now, if you track it back, go backwards, you can always trace it back to something that didn't work out, something that disappointed you, some sort of failure, something that you felt was the end of the world at that point of time. Almost everything. It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. And going back to fear, I found that with the years, because I've done a bit of meditating, I found that the more I can just be with the feeling of fear, which is usually my chest, the more I can just sit and let it be there without trying to get rid of it or figuring it out, the more I'm not sure what I'm even trying to say, but it's just easier to just feel the fear and let it be there instead of trying to struggle against it, try to suppress it with food or whatever you try to do with
Yeah,
trying to be
because
productive or something else.
yeah, because like here's the thing, right? Fear, basically, what does it come from? It comes from the unknown. It comes from uncertainty. It comes from not knowing what's going to happen next. That's really what it is. Like fear is all the stories that we make up about what is going to happen based on maybe some experience that we had earlier or experiences we've seen other people have, or just anything that our mind can come up with that can go wrong. And so the more you avoid that, the more it gets built up into this big giant monster, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the more energy you pour into it. And then if you look into the monster's eyes, you look into the face, suddenly it starts shrinking because you see, well, wow, that's a story that I made up. That's another story that I made up. That's another story that I made up. And the actual fear is much, much smaller and so much more manageable. And so what you resist persists, right? So the more you kind of avoid something, the more it'll come back later. So you might as well just, like you said, be still, stay with the fear, listen to it, see what it's trying to tell you, let it be a guide. Like fear and procrastination, I find, are actually our friends. They get such a bad rap. They're actually our friends. They're trying to show us something, tell us something that's important to us. And we just have to listen and be there with it. And breathe, 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 right? That's what, like, somebody else once said, I don't know who quoted that, but fear is excitement without the breath. So when you just breathe into your fear, then it basically comes from the same place, fear and excitement. You breathe into it and then you calm down, and then you can be more rational about looking at what that thing is that's scaring you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Mm.
So I think something I've noticed is the longer I've lived is that most people are, myself included, struggling against the nature of life because life is constantly changing, constantly in transition, and we want to hold on to life, or we want to create the perfect snapshot of life. And we believe that if we can get that, if we can get everything lined up, then we'll be happy, but we won't. And even if we get that perfect life, perfect apartment, money, success, and relationship, it'll still change sooner or later. So what I found is that the more I can just simply let go and let life live itself and follow my heart, the easier things have become because there's just less attachment and less clinging there.
Yeah, and God, I was going to say something and I totally forgot something related to that. It's about control, right? That's what it is. We're all afraid to give up control. I
Yeah.
think the thing that makes us feel powerful is knowing that we can control something in our lives, our destiny, the food that goes into our mouth, the money that we make, the vacations, which is why relationships and babies and businesses are so big for personal growth, because we can't control any of them. You have to be aware, you have to be present, you have to have a lot of courage, and you have to go with the flow. Like you have to dance in the moment, as they would say in my coaching course. You have to dance with life. You can't control life. You can't say, okay, take the step here, take that step here, do this, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't agree more.
Try,
So,
try, try agreeing a little more.
okay, 100%.
150. I'm just teasing.
So, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned while building your business?
Biggest lessons. Do it. Just do it. I think I have wasted a lot of time thinking about things instead of just doing things. When I launched the Sparkle Flight Club course in October last year, it had been a year and a half of me thinking and talking about launching a community before I actually did it. And how I did it was within 1 month, I made the commitment. I had the website, the forum ready. I had the course ready, the sales page, everything. And within 1 month, it was all done. And the same thing when I wrote my first ever ebook on procrastination, which I don't offer on my site anymore. I thought about it. I procrastinated for a year and then I wrote it in 1 week. And I'm doing the same thing right now with Sparkle Flight Club. So it's not that, even though I know this lesson, that I follow it all the time. This is where my work is as well. But don't waste too much time thinking about something. Just create and put things out there, because even if nothing works, nothing sells, at least you're learning something in the process. You're learning how to create, you're learning what works and what doesn't work. and you can do a whole bunch of different things with whatever you create as well. So that's definitely one of the big ones. Another one is to not let fear get in the way so much. Just treat it all as an experiment. I know this sounds really simplistic, and if you have a business that you're expecting to feed you and your family, it cannot be an experiment. You have to make it work. But I'm just saying, have the attitude of, I'm going to try this. And if this works, great. If not, then I'm going to learn and tweak it and find out what does work. So don't give up. Don't quit, but maybe you can find different ways to make it work. Oh, and definitely, yeah, keep showing up. And oh, one more thing I think is hit one pitch a day. Mike Dooley from Tut.com talks about this. And he says that all overnight success actually has probably taken years and years. It's been years in the making. We think, oh, look at that person. They're so successful and everything's going so well. You don't see the 4 or 5 years of hard slogging they've done and the things that they did every single day. So instead of caught up in the bigger picture, like, oh, I'm going to write a blog post and let it go viral and launch this huge product, do something every single day. Hit one pitch a day, no matter where it goes or where it lands, because sometimes it takes even a couple of years for that thing that you did 2 years ago to come back and bring rewards or bring new opportunities.
Yeah, I find people often get stuck in doing things for the results. So they think that, okay, if I do this, then I'll get that. So then they do whatever it is, like write a blog post, like a list post, and then they hope it'll go viral so they'll become rich. But then nothing happens because they aren't truly following what makes them come alive. So when you are willing to release results and not just do things to get other things and follow what excites you while being practical, that's when the magic starts happening, or at least that's when it started happening for me.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And you're right, it is all about intention. If I had sat down to write that blog post thinking I'm going to make this post go viral, do you know what? Like, I really don't think it would have happened. I really don't think it would have. It was because I followed inspiration and did what felt good, and it came so naturally. You know, that state of flow that everybody talks about? That's what I was in. I felt that a few times in my life. When you're in flow, it's not even you. It's like things are being born and created from you, through you, not from you, like through you, but they're sort of coming in from somewhere else. Really, that's what it's about. And being intentional about the creative process, that's what brings results. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I find that the more I follow my heart, the more I get this feeling that life is unfolding by itself and I get ideas and I get inspired to do something when the time is right.
Mm, agreed.
So, one last question before we wrap things up, and I suspect that you may already have answered this, but let's see if you can come up with something else. So, if you could go back in time to the Tia just starting out, what would you say to her?
I would say it's going to be a wild freaking ride. Hang on. Don't let go, because half the fun is in the journey. And one day when you're really successful, you're going to look back and remember those days when you were just starting out and you wouldn't want to change anything. So wherever you are right now, be there.
Awesome. Yeah, life is this moment, so you might as well be here because the future
Yeah,
comes as now.
exactly. Today is all we have.
So where can people find out more about you?
Google me, Tia Sparkles. My website is yourlifeyourway.net. So not .net, not .com. I'm on Twitter as Tia Sparkles. I have a Facebook business page, which is facebook.com/yourlifeyourway. Yeah, these are places you can find me online. Also, in um, any Nutella Nutella corner of the grocery store, where I'll be trying very hard not to eat up all the Nutella out there.
Okay, so you're in every grocery store in the world where there's
Absolutely,
Nutella.
wherever there's Nutella, my spirit is out there.
Okay, sounds interesting. I'll check it out next time I go to the store. All right,
Awesome.
so thanks for doing this interview. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks, Henry. It was really fun doing it too.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, remember that there will be fears and sometimes even people stopping you from doing what you love. But you don't have to make radical changes. You can take things one tiny step at a time and see what happens. And if you want more tips on how to turn your passion into a thriving lifestyle business, visit wakeupcloud.com and make sure you join the free newsletter and grab your free goodies. So that's all for now. This is Henry signing out.